welcome to the members' meeting of Stanley Town Council Finance and General Purposes Committee. If we can just move to the agenda.
Apologies for absence.
Apologies for absence, please.
Yeah, we have received apologies from Councillor Timpey, who has another appointment. Councillor Binney, family commitments. Councillors Marshall and Kane are both unwell.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any declarations of interest in any of the items that are on the agenda?
Yes.
From anyone?
Declaration of interest in item 10, the grant fund for Mambrook Town Relay Community.
Thanks, Steve. I have no announcements from the chair.
There's no other declaration of interest, sorry, I missed that.
There was only
Councillor Tully's, yeah.
that kind of just like.
No announcements. The only announcements are the usual ones, that obviously the Town Council is recording the meeting. A member of the public is also recording the meeting. Is anyone else present recording the meeting? And could I just remind members, please, and the public, please make sure their phones are either off or set to silent, so that we don't get any interruptions. Thank you.
Okay, if we can move on to item 5, attachment A, to approve as a correct record of the
Four,
minutes.
should we go on four?
Oh yes, sorry, apologies. I'm dashing through this agenda. Have we had any, is there any?
No, Chair, there's no public participation.
Looks to just pull me on the. Okay, item 5, to confirm the minutes.
Move that we'll confirm the minutes, please, Chair.
Yeah.
It's all right, second those. That's in there.
Okay.
Sign.
Okay, thanks everyone for that. If we can move on to accounts for payment and bank reconciliation, please. Do we want to take them in months?
We have 2 months, obviously, because of recess, Chairman.
Yeah.
So we have the payments, receipts, bank reconciliation for July and August. So usually it's a question of the reports have been circulated to members. Are there any queries, questions?
Yeah.
Members want to raise on anything that's been presented? We're looking around.
Yeah.
No?
No.
Oh, Councillor Tully.
Yes, we have got a few.
Yeah.
As you know, Alan.
Can I just ask, sorry Dave, can I just ask which attachment you're referring to as you give each thing?
I was looking at payments of July, but it's gone to August. Payments in July
Mm-hmm.
and August, July, wouldn't it?
These are payments in July, is that the one where?
Yeah.
Payments in July is attachment B.
Yeah.
B.
I'm not sure I can do it. We did have a few queries that Alan has has answered most of them.
Okay, you can just give us the ones that you would like answered.
I can't remember which one. Which one was the query?
Like, it's easy to do the August one, and John's got a paper copy, so it shouldn't show you the July, we can't find it.
I had it marked, but it's gone off. It was yellow.
I've got a hard copy of the July one. Do you want to look at it, Councillor Tully?
Yeah.
Do you want to?
I mean, no, I thought it was July. It probably was here. I can't see it.
Should we, do you want us to move on to item number 6 and come
Yeah.
back to item number 5, is that the best way to do it?
Yeah.
We're on item number 6 at the moment.
Oh, sorry, to item number 7 and come back to item number 6.
Okay, so we'll give you a chance to have a look at
Yeah,
that,
I've got it.
David.
I sent Alan in.
And we'll move on to working groups. We have minutes of the following working groups attached at item H and I. So if we start with attachment H,
change is the minutes of the Civic Hall Working Group.
Yeah.
So the actions on there are, unfortunately I wasn't at most of that meeting. The first part of the meeting was in respect of the pantomime, which we had made an appointment. We had invited someone to come to the working group to speak to the members. Unfortunately he had to cancel. Subsequent to that, we've had a meeting, Dawn and myself, with someone else, and there'll be a report forthcoming about that. In respect of the other pieces on there, there's some quotes been obtained for some of the works that were discussed previously. So there are quotes been obtained for the blinds in the main hall, and also there's some quotes outstanding. And we've had only one quote for the Bamborough Suite, and they're waiting for another one on that. In terms of the speakers and sound system, they've had some people bring in some equipment for like a technical demonstration, but they've not actually sort of honed that spec down to a final spec. So they had Terry in bringing some various speakers in, setting them up to get some different demonstrations, see what the sound is like. I think they need to work on that to get the spec right before they can actually get a good, get like a tender for it. Ballot, probably Councillor Nair will probably be able to give, because he was actually at that part of the meeting when I wasn't. So is that about the size of it?
That's about the size of it, but there's also the gentleman who normally does the sound is going to bring a load of stuff as well for us to listen to before we make any kind of decision on that.
Yes, and it was Terry that was in the other day with some different setups that he was demonstrating. So I think he was probably doing like a practice setup.
So that we could appreciate the differences in the different kind of equipment.
Yeah. So that's to be arranged. So yeah, we've got some quotes. We're still awaiting other quotes for the works that we talked about before.
Right. Can you explain what the procedure is going to be with the quotes? Because obviously we all want to get on with getting this work done that we've agreed as fast as possible. So how were the
Absolutely. I think that what was agreed previously was that there need to be quotes presented to the working group. The working group then put a recommendation forward, which needed to be approved by a full council. But I don't think we've got enough quotes for everything to approve all of those.
we haven't got enough proof, the courts to approve any of them.
I'm not certain. Councillor Nair, were the quotes for the manual blinds?
We have quotes for manual blinds and also a quote for electric blinds. So we've just got to make up our mind on which one, because the quotes were quite drastically different.
One of them's under £3 grand, the other one's nearly £5 grand.
Yeah.
Just because the staircase one doesn't seem like the quote like for like. You've got one for 4,200 and the other one for 9,600.
Yeah. So we need to bottom that out.
Yeah.
So it will be hard. I think it's going to be hard for the working group if people aren't quoting like for like to sort of come up with a recommendation to send back. So I don't know how we actually simplify it, because Alan's obviously
the next one with Alan Tubman, we'll make a decision on that one, and we will be short for the whole council.
I think, unfortunately, this meeting was, James was obviously the officer that was leading this meeting. James is the one that's got the quotes, and unfortunately he's on annual leave this week. So I can't give a definitive statement on the position, but as far as I can tell, there's still outstanding quotes, so you can't actually make a recommendation on any of this stuff right now. Because like you say, we've got two quotes for blinds, one of them's electric and one of them's manual. Clearly you're not going to go with the electric ones at £5,000 when you can get manual ones for £3,000. But you need another quote for manual ones because you might get cheaper.
Yeah.
So clearly we haven't got enough quotes to proceed on that.
So
But I think what we need to get is get that one bottomed out as soon as possible.
so we think we'll get an update for
Full council?
full council next week,
Mm.
even if it's just
More detail.
an update with more detail in the because obviously you can't we'll not be able to get a report by then. But it just seems like it's taken absolutely forever, and that should be the easy part. The hard part should be actually getting the work done. But if you know what I mean, that would be helpful for me anyway.
So we'll bring this back to full council for more detail.
There's something else I need to bring up. This is something that I haven't done properly, so I'm told we handled. Back in March, we held the launch of the Stanley Fund and the other grant fund that we have that name escapes us at the moment.
Strategic
Grant Fund, and I was approached by Gail Wilson, who runs one of the groups that was supported last year with a free room hire. The three groups being Stanley Stars, Oxhill Youth Club, and South Mayo Musical Theatre Company. And she was saying how happy they were to get the money, but really what they wanted was if everybody could sort of work together, that would be just as good, because then they would make more money individually in the groups, and they wouldn't need this sort of room hire and stuff. So I said that the best thing to do would be to arrange a meeting with the Civic Hall Working Group, which I said to somebody on the night, but then didn't follow up, if you know what I mean. So it never happened. So these groups are still doing what they did before, and they're still sort of toddling along doing what they're doing. So the proposal is that, because I haven't done what I said I would do, that we offer them the free room hire the same as we did last year, and also we invite them to come along to the first Civic Hall Working Group to do with, what's it called? Operations in the new year, or after all our performances are finished, to find out if we can do anything for them, sort of the hire 3 lots of costumes, can we get them together so the hire, so they can make a saving, the hire 3 lots of lights or whatever, can we get them together so they make a saving, etc., etc. How can we help them publicise their stuff better so they get more sales and things like that. So that's me proposing. Do I need to call that a motion? That's me motion.
Do we have a seconder, or do we have some discussion? What do the people think?
So just to be clear, the motion
Yeah.
the motion is in respect to the Civic Hall Working Group that the council considers repeating the free hire it gave, or the support that it gave to those three groups last year, and also that those three groups are invited to the Civic Hall Operations Group to discuss how we can help them in the future.
Yeah.
There's the motion from Councillor Davidson.
I'll second that.
Do we have any discussion? Are people happy with that? Do we want to have a vote, please?
No discussion, this is a show of hands.
So can
This
I
is a
show of
recommendation to council, this isn't anything else.
It'll just go forward to full council, so we're all happy with that it goes forward. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so that's the Civic Hall Working Group. Is there anything else in the Civic Hall Working Group minutes? Or are we happy to note those otherwise? Okay, so-
It's all right. In the vision and ideas, I'm assuming the meat and Santa is kind of similar to what we did before, so that will not be a great expense to that. You know, we won't need to be buying.
I wasn't at the meeting, so I'll bring Councillor Nair.
sorry.
What items that, sorry?
That's for ideas,
Which one, the staff ideas, one of the ideas is meeting centre.
because obviously there's a lot of stuff already here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so there's not going to be a huge cost to that.
No,
So that could
the
possibly
staff
be
said
done.
that essentially they were looking at things without any specific costs, but to encourage people to come in, especially at times when the Civic Hall was not being used all that much, and they felt that the idea that they were giving is a sort of throw in the hat so that all councillors can have a look at that and give ideas of their own, so that we look at all these things that we can do in the Civic Hall and then come to a decision and put a recommendation at a later date.
Because I was thinking, you know, the meat and Santa, most of the stuff is already, should be still here in a sense. You know, so there's not going to be a huge cost to that one.
No.
So you could probably move that one along quite quickly. One that isn't here and that are here, not that I'm, you know, but I did hear that comedy clubs are quite, you know, in Newcastle there's an awful lot of, and if it works there, it could probably work, you know, you could give it a try. It's something that you've not lost anything out on.
That is essentially what the group was looking for, either confirmation of some of the suggestions that they've given, or else recommendations that people feel would work. That's why we asked that it be sent out to all councillors, so that we get a feedback from which we can make a decision on what seems most probable.
And the other one was obviously actions. It's the franchising of the coffee shop. Are we saying that we want to franchise the coffee shop out?
These are, you see, I wasn't present at the
Just
discussion,
ideas.
but my understanding of the agenda was that the members of the working group wanted to talk to the Civic Hall staff about really brainstorming ideas. So I think that these are ideas that were brainstormed in that session.
Right.
Am I right, Councillor Nair?
Absolutely right.
Yeah, so these are provided as food for thought for councillors, and I think that basically it's a question of what other ideas have you got. Let's have maybe a separate meeting to discuss it, which ones can we put into the plan for the future. So obviously you've indicated, Councillor Nicholson, that you think that the Santa ones is feasible and achievable. You mentioned the comedy club, so I can add that to the list. Has anyone got any other views on the things that we've put forward at this stage?
Awesome. Good ideas.
Well, I know that the Civic Hall Working Group has tasked the operations manager with putting together like an outline activity plan, so to try and build the programme out. Obviously, where we are right now, the programme is kind of the annual regulars like yourself and more operatic and those people and your training bookings and whatnot. But clearly, there's a lot of scope to do other stuff. It's about trying to pull all these threads along at the same time, isn't it? We need to refurbish this room. We need to think about what type of things we want to put on in the hall. I think that I'm not sure if it's in these minutes or in a previous set, is that we want to do some public consultation and ask the public what do you want to see in the hall, because clearly, the residents will have a view about what they think we can do in the hall as well. We've had some feedback. The staff have been given questionnaires that people coming to the cinema during the holidays. They were giving sort of feedback questionnaires to people coming in. Those people that were using the cinema, particularly for the children's performances during the holidays, seem to appreciate it and they seem to be quite well received. There does seem to be it was up and down with the I mean, there is obviously a lot more detailed analysis about that sort of stuff, but which needs to come through. But for now, I think that this session was really just about trying to brainstorm some ideas to start the conversation about what the offer could look like for the future programme.
So do people want to have a look at this and see if they can come back with some further, like email Alan some ideas? It's just quite difficult just being given this and, if you want to have any further ideas, send them through to Alan and then we can start that process of pulling everything together, both councillors and staff. Yeah? Okay. People happy with that? I mean, obviously, Joe yours has already gone in, but if you have any more ideas, please feel
Or if
free.
there's anything that you think is an absolutely terrible idea.
Yeah.
If you think that puppy training classes would be disastrous, say so. I mean, at the end, that's the whole point of having the discussion. It's not just a.
Yeah.
Having been taken the puppy training class, the flow in there doesn't lend
Yes.
itself. I have to say to you,
I was
Yeah.
going to say that.
Bit easily scratched.
Yeah, what they actually do in a lot of, I've been to about 3 different ones, is they put a liner down
yeah.
on the floor. There's often little accidents when you've got puppies.
Sometimes big acts.
Yes, depends on the size of the
Yes.
puppy.
Yes.
So we're happy to note those minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The final one is the events working group.
Policy.
No. Tell you, my brain's
Are
not
you
working
all
properly today. You would think I was trying to get home or something. Policy working group, attachment I, everyone.
Okay, well, I mean, this one's hopefully fairly straightforward. These policies, basically, most of these policies are ones that need to be looked at for the Quality Council's work that we do. Clearly, with the checklist for the Quality Councils that was produced, or you've seen it's been circulated, there's a number of things that need to go onto the council's website or be in place for that basic Quality Council checklist. So, what's happened is that following on from recent precedent, we've sort of obtained copies of the Durham County Council policies and localised them in most cases. So, very quickly going through these minutes, the recommendations that this adoption of policies policy, which dates from 2010, basically be abandoned because we don't do that anymore. That's not what we do. We use the policy working group as the vehicle for policies, and then the corporate complaints policy. We have localised the DCC policy. The procedure for local assessment of complaints, well, we reviewed that, but that's a DCC policy anyway, because that's how the monitoring officer's process works. Pay protection policy we reviewed last year before the restructure, but we're just basically confirming that we're happy with that. Risk management strategy, that's been converted from the DCC policy and localised. The mental wellbeing in the workplace procedure and toolkit, again, the documents are attached for that. And then there's an updated policy matrix. And there's a list in there about what the shopping list is next for the group. And you can see that there's a forward plan on there. Some of these things in the forward plan have come up because they seem to be particularly outdated. Some of them will come up because actually they seem to be topical. And you know, the people have asked about them. So Alan is chugging his way through the list that's been given by the group. And really what we're looking for from this committee, unless there are particular questions, queries, concerns, is that they're just put forward for full council for adoption.
Okay, do you have any comments firstly?
Me and David were there. I can guarantee that Nicola wasn't there, so Mr. Cut and Paste has forgotten to cut Nicola around.
Hang on, who's done the minutes?
Alan?
Mr. Cut and Paste is not listening.
It's just so we're clear on who's cutting and pasting.
Take responsibility.
The other thing that's not mentioned in here is that we agreed we would have a specific meeting, I think, or the next meeting, I can't remember exactly which, to go and redo the risk register.
Yes, we did.
So that's not mentioned.
That should be added to the minutes.
And also, what maybe should have been added to the minutes, or probably should have been that explanation, was members and officers' travel claims. There's a reason why that's been added to the list. That we didn't realise we didn't have a policy, and somebody went and drove a long way and couldn't get that money back.
Well, yeah, basically, obviously there is a policy in place for officers to make travel claims, expenses claims. We've had nothing in place for members, and we've obviously gone and appointed an armed forces champion, who's then gone and drove all the way to Catterick, and when he said, "Can I claim your petrol money back?" I said, "Well, we haven't got a policy for that, so no, you can't." So that's that's why that's been put on the list. There is already in place a member remuneration policy. An independent remuneration panel for Durham County Council reviews these things and sets guidelines and recommendations. When it came out, it was probably a year and a half ago, this town council just looked at it and said, "No, we don't need that, but maybe we don't need allowances, but what we do need to look at is travel expenses for legitimate council business." So if you're a councillor that's been appointed for a specific purpose, and you do end up having to drive to Yorkshire, you can actually at least reclaim your mileage. So that's going to be, essentially we're just going to get out what the policy is and put it forward for review. So that one already exists. That was the reason for that.
A bit about the risk register.
The risk register, yeah, I mean obviously.
I don't know what we actually agreed. Did we agree to have a special meeting, or did we?
We agreed to have a separate meeting to go through. I mean, I think the majority of members went on the risk management training that was organised last year. And obviously, what we did last year was we improved what we had by putting scores in for everything and doing a score. Whereas we had a 3x3 grid, what was being recommended was a 5x5 grid. So we could actually really then hone down what's important and what isn't. So I think what the meeting's going to do, what the group are going to do, is we're going to get that 5x5 grid, and we're going to go through and populate it and put it to the committee, so that we can actually then have a more granular identification of risks, so we can actually prioritise better. Because at the moment, some things either there or there, but actually there's a lot more to it than that. And if we add in the extra detail, then we'll really identify where the biggest gaps are and what the biggest risks are. So that was a job that the group have said they're going to do separately in a separate meeting and bring that forward.
Any further comments?
I'm happy with it, John.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So, Norton,
Happy to know that, yeah?
yeah.
Yeah. Right. Before we move on, Kat, do you remember what you wanted to say?
Yes, members training.
I know we haven't got there yet, because this is, we haven't done the,
There's some
Second.
further
I know
point
the
of view.
TV's running away with this, so we haven't done the events yet.
Events,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Finish out from a 9 and 6 o'clock.
You see, if it's not you, it's me.
Sorry, we didn't have an events meeting, sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you've
but
got
there is a
you've got a paper in
feedback.
front. Feedback from events.
Oh, but there's an actual item on the agenda.
There's a nice one on the agenda for that.
So we'll just,
Is it?
Item
Yeah.
9.
yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay.
I thought it was already on item 9, I'm just wishing me life away.
So,
almost like
I was just, sorry, so I was just asking Councillor Tully if you remember what he wanted to raise
Yeah.
on the right
Yeah.
sin.
The
It was
query on the members' training.
The member training, sorry, we're back to attachment, which one is this on?
Attachment,
Six.
six.
Which
Item
attachment?
six.
Six attachment B.
Attachment B. July payments, so where does it appear? It appears under,
It's on democracy, over halfway down on page 1.
member training, yeah, that's the NALC conference. Well, you asked me this one by email.
Yes, I have,
but
yeah.
I'll tell you again for the benefit of the rest of the committee. This relates to councillors Timby and Stevenson going to the NALC conference, which is on the 28th and 29th of October at Milgate.
Yeah, as I mentioned to you before, how do you come across two members for members training? I understood that members training was for everyone, not just, and what training will they be receiving when they're there?
Well, I haven't got the full programme for the conference right next to me, but there will be, there's a number of speakers, seminars, workshops, groups, which all relate to the work of parish councils. I mean, the full programme is out there, I could find it sent to you, I haven't got it to hand right now. But certainly, a national conference is, I know I've said this to you, not privately, but I'll say it in front of the group. A national conference is a professional conference is considered to be CPD training for almost anybody. It's basically a specialist conference aimed at councillors in the parish council sector. So everything is in there is tailored to providing information about best practice and current issues to local councils. So the idea is that those two members will go to that conference and they will come back and report back and tell the rest of the council what the new developments are, what's coming up, what changes in legislation, what lobbying is happening, what best practice is elsewhere, and how will help to sort of invigorate our service planning process for the next year. That's the idea.
I just struggle to see that two members doing 4 training for 18 hours.
But we couldn't afford to
I
send
know,
it.
I don't understand that.
Can I just answer you there, David? The whole point, and I think it was at the end of what you said, is that those two members that are representing the council, to be able to then inform the rest of the council when they come back. You know, it's the same sort of thing as you would do as an officer or as a county councillor, and report back on what you can pass on to your colleagues or your fellow councillors about changes in, process, procedure, and it's also a very good opportunity because we didn't get the award to find out how and what made other authorities be able to get the award for the council, the good council. So it's to do all of those things. But there will be something fed back into the council itself. And if there's any way that it can be done into a short, half-day briefing session for members, then we can do that. That's absolutely not a
I
problem.
mean, I expect that when Councillor Stevenson and Councillor Timmy come back from that conference, they're going to have to work for it because they're going to have to tell everyone what's happened because they're going to come back with loads of information about stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been to professional conferences in my previous life with elected members, and certainly, a principal authority with 120 members, we only took one or two with us. You can't all go to these things. But I did say that if there was anyone who really particularly wanted to go, we probably haven't got enough budget for one of you to go.
That's good. The hindsight, it should have not been offered it in the first place. One of each, I don't know. But to be offered later on, because we would do nothing about it, so we got these papers that come through the papers. We would do nothing at all about it. It's not out there, it wasn't transparent enough, we just had looked at it and thought,
Okay.
Doubletree, yeah,
Well, see, the Doubletree thing, that's where it is. So
yes,
basically, that's the conference venue. So
Yeah.
they've just booked accommodation at the conference venue,
yes.
because, you know, for obvious reasons, because it's, you know, that's where it is.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, just thinking back, because it was a while ago now, obviously we had the recess and since then, but I think it was on, I regularly ping around emails from NALP that come from our chief executive bulletins and the stuff like that, and I regularly send them around to members, and I think it basically was on, the conference was on one of those emails, and then I had a meeting with Councillor Timby, and he was like, we'd like to send a couple of reps to the conference, and I was like, well, yeah, okay, we've got the training budget for that, that's what it's for. So it wasn't a kind of a, you know, that's where it came from. If you'd have phoned me up and said, I'm interested in going to the conference, I'd have had a conversation with you as well. So, you know, we send all these things around, and 99 times out of 100, no one ever responds to them. So, you know, as far as I could be emailing nobody because I never get any response. You know, I sent around a load of things, stuff with training opportunities on it today, about, you know, trustees of small organisations, treasurers, all this other stuff, paid for courses about data protection and that stuff. You know, no one's emailing me back about that either, but if they did, then we'd try and arrange something.
Yeah, that will help with that.
Yeah.
I suppose the point is, when these emails come round, it's within your own gift to say, yes, I want that, and if you don't, then you obviously, as far as Alan's concerned,
Yeah.
then nobody must want it.
I mean, you'll know, David, yourself, because you've been on the council for a number of years now, but I think every year since I've been here, certainly we've had about £2,000 set aside as a budget for member training. And I think that we never got close to spending it. After the election, the council decided to put on that new member training, those sessions that we did right after the election, but every other year, we've never spent any of it. You know, it never gets spent. And likewise, we've got staff training budgets, and the staff training gets identified through, obviously, a one-to-one process. We talk about what your training needs are. I think that maybe we need to do this course, maybe we need to do that course. And so that tends to get used more, but even then, that doesn't always get spent. So it's an allocation that's been made. So it really is kind of almost incumbent on members to use it, because I can't turn around to you, unless, you know, the council can say, we want to send every member on code of conduct training, that's a council decision. But I can't turn around to you and say, Councillor Tully, I think you should go on this course. You know, that's not...
Maybe you can suggest, plus, by the way, I've never missed a training course, I've been everywhere. So,
Well, I think the point is, the suggestion is sent out via email, and if there's anything, I suppose what needs to come from this is, in future, make sure you read it. If you identify it as something that you're interested in, get in touch with Alan and, you know, we'll see what we can do.
but just really to train children.
Well, it's, you know, it's a well-known form of training that's used in all local authorities that I've ever been involved in. And I've been on many a one. But again, you know, if you identify anything, let Alan know and we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, where the double trees, I've seen them, I've lost it, there's 225s and 260s. What's the payments for?
Well, I've looked through, I mean, when you emailed me,
Yeah, for.
Councillor Tully, I went on to the reports and just typed in the word Doubletree on a word, you know, word
Yeah.
search, and then I went onto our payment system. I can only find the one payment on the payment system, on Omega. I can only find the one payment.
We've seen it, I've seen it, they have two, they have 35 and 35. 125, 125, 60, 60.
Where are they?
How many conciliations is it?
Where?
It's the bank reconciliation.
Are you looking at the bank statement? Is that what you're
Yeah.
getting for payments? Oh, but they all add up to the same amount as what's reported on the payments, don't they?
Yeah, but I'm just asking what's the two separate payments for, but they don't.
Well, two payments, well,
Two
people, I think.
25 and 60.
I- I don't know, because I didn't book the hotel,
Oh,
room,
yeah.
Nicola did, but that's where I'm confused, because if those payments all add up to what's reported here, yeah,
Yeah.
do they? I'm assuming they do.
So it's not even an Appendix B that you're on about, is it?
Yeah. So this is the bank statement extract. Well, you provided with the bank statement extract, so you can see that the statement reconciles to the ledger. Obviously, what I'm looking at is the report that I provided, which shows that there's one payment to Doubletree and our payment system shows one payment to Doubletree. It's basically, if there's 4 payments, I'm guessing it's going to be 2 rooms for 2 nights, because that's what it is.
It's what it says, 125 Doubletree, 125 Doubletree, £60 Doubletree, £60 Doubletree.
Okay.
You'll have to check that.
Well, I'll have to clarify that, but
Yeah.
it's basically, it's 2 rooms for 2 nights. That's what it is. So, yeah,
It's £503 for the trees.
well, that's outside of our control, there's nothing we can do about that. I agree with you. Unfortunately, I don't run the railway company, there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, right, and another point, Burning Rock appears twice on the paperwork on there, sorry, item 6, attachment E.
Attachment E.
Attachment E, which is the August payments.
Right.
And just see that it's jumped out, there's Burning Rock, page 2, right at the very top, just about, and page 3, Burning Rock 2009.
Page 2.
Look at page 2, it's on the back of page 1.
The grant fund and it's the
Yeah,
second
yeah,
box.
and the page,
Let's see the one on.
just right at the very bottom of the document, just before the staffing cost.
Oh.
Steve,
Oh, it's in the civil post one.
Yeah, it does appear there twice, but that'll be an error.
Yeah, just
It's
point
not-
out, just.
I guarantee you it's not on the ledger twice, and I'm happy to show you that.
Yeah,
What I'll do is I'll produce the ledger extract for them, and I'll send you a copy.
yeah.
So that's going to be an error when I produce the report. There won't be any errors next month because Anne will be producing the report.
Yeah, if I just see, I pointed out, just.
Yeah, no, that will be,
Just prove
that will be, I hate to say it, Mark, but that will be probably be a cut and paste error. So,
It's got all the same codes.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't call it highlight.
I can assure you it only appears once on the ledger.
It's just a duplicate.
So we also find out what we should have had for £2,000 in its place. Is the figures-
Probably nothing.
The figures shouldn't add up, though, should they?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they don't, if you look, there's no total.
There we go. So what you've got to live up to, Anne, it'll not take you long.
I'll do my best.
Okay, so are we happy now to consider the attached information, which we've done, and approve the payment of accounts for July and August, and
Right.
note the bank reconciliation, if we don't have any further comments? Do you have a further comment, Mark? You're looking very...
Right. You haven't got a total, so how?
No, I was going to say, you can't approve
Oh, right,
attachment E.
that's right.
I think what I need to do is I need to update attachment E and recirculate it for full council. But you can approve July's
Do you
payment.
want us to approve July?
Yeah.
Yes, please, yeah.
Wow.
You can note the bank reconciliations because those are
Yeah.
correct.
So, to recap, we'll be approving attachment B, C, D in July, and then G in August. Is that correct?
Yep. And I'll restate E for,
Yeah.
What about F?
What about F?
what your problem there?
No, I'm saying, can we approve it, or
Yeah.
does it need to be
No, no.
reissued as well?
No?
So approve F as well,
Yeah.
and we'll reissue E from time for full council.
Yep.
Okay, the chair, so I move we agree B, C, D, F and G. And we look forward to seeing E without any cut and paste errors. Are you taking over this from now on, or are
She
you?
is.
I will do.
All right, no, we'll have no problem.
No, it was literally just like a week too early to give these reports to Anne to get them done in time. But what I did do, surprisingly, because what I wasn't doing was totaling the columns, was I was writing down the instructions on how to produce these reports. So Anne's already been on things like the transparency payments for the website and doing all that stuff. She'll be producing these reports in future, which is why she's going to come to committee, because then if you've got queries, she can tell you what they all are.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful all round.
Happy days.
So this will be a good training exercise. Attachment E will be perfect by the time that we've gone through it with Anne.
Okay,
Look forward to it.
No pressure.
so we've had a motion by Mark, do we need to vote on that?
You couldn't remember what my name was, have you?
I know, right, I'm calling it the wrong second. Do we have anyone to second that motion, please?
I'll second it.
Good. Do we need to show hands?
No.
No, we don't. Super.
Can I find about the next one before we start looking at it, which is item 8, isn't it, the budget
Yeah.
one?
I,
If I've got a crick in my neck after keep looking at this for the last couple of days, then I'm going to be putting a claim in against you. Why can't I have it so it's straight?
What?
It's sideways.
You've got it in, no, you can't
You
rotate
can't
it
rotate
around.
it.
It's in portrait instead of
What you-
landscape.
I'll
Can
try.
rotate it, it's a
well,
PDF.
there's a button there, you turn it that way and then you press it, then it stops the scene.
Well, hey,
It's the actual device that's doing it, because it'll just automatically go back.
oh man, I've switched my Which button is it?
There's like a little sliding button.
Right, okay, hang on.
Top left hand corner.
That's a different.
Right,
Oh, mine's different.
hang on, which report is this? This is
Oh.
attachment
It's
O.
O.
Yeah.
Right, bear with me 1 second. Right, hang on.
That's the one with all the figures on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I haven't moved over it yet, but
Right, if you close that document down and open it again, it's rotated. I've just done it.
all
Right,
right.
super. Okay, everyone, back to all.
Is it?
You didn't close the.
Close it down.
It shows us on your track, council.
Yeah.
You need to close it down and open it up again, because I've just done it on Dropbox.
So I need to go back into my emails again and start again.
Just open
What was
it,
it?
Just open Dropbox.
just open Dropbox again.
No, Mark's not reading.
You just close that down and then press on the link again. Yeah?
So on the email section.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Print if I did.
Yes.
You make sure.
Right, George,
See?
she's got it.
John knows what she's doing.
Whoa, look at that, what a miracle.
There you go.
Okay,
That was easy.
so is everyone on the right page now? You see, doing paper, or you
Yeah.
never get a problem with a bit of paper.
The thing about Dropbox, and just for future reference, the thing about Dropbox is if I change it, it changes everyone's. So if there's a problem with the papers, you just need to tell me and I'll change it.
Right.
and then everyone's will change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it means when we come to the meetings, there is a time
Yeah.
for it, it'll learn to
Yeah. Or just put it, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, for example, we had 2 attachment M's labelled up until someone pointed out that they were labelled up there, and I changed the labels, so we've got an M and an M now. There we go.
right,
I don't tell you this much though.
item 8, budget monitoring.
Well, it's supposed to open the second one.
Okay, I provided the report, the analysis report here, which shows you how much we've spent against the budget, and you can see that all the areas on there are showing as green at the moment. There are, there is no sort of, no outrageous shocks or surprises around the corner. We've got the full year-to-date report, which obviously was rotated, it's now rotated back again, which shows you the line-by-line expenditure. For this month and at this stage, really, unless members have got questions they want answered about the expenditure, I'm just going to say reportedly that it's on track at the moment. We're not predicting any serious overspends in any areas right now. There haven't been any massive surprises that we've had to deal with. So we'll get a more detailed report when we start doing first draft budget for next year. Because obviously then we'll start highlighting areas for budget growth and things like that. But really, unless members have got specific questions on this report, I'm happy to ask the report to be noted at this point in time.
Can I just ask if I've got something right? The reason why the grant is 81.5% is because we paid our study fund bit up front.
That's
and then,
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Right, thank you.
Yeah, the strategic fund is just slightly over 50% spent.
Yeah.
Anyone else for comments? Or
obviously, if anyone has got any queries on either the summary report or the detailed report about, oh, what does this refer to? You know, myself or Anne are more than happy to drill down into the ledgers of the reports and give you details. So, you know, every single line in this detailed report, you can pull up all the expenditure that's held against that line. And, you know, so if anyone wants to drill into stuff, any particular codes or any particular suppliers or anything like that, that information is readily available. You just need to email us and we'll give it to you. Yeah?
Okay.
Are we happy to make those reports for now?
Yeah. Item 9, review of events.
Okay. So, this is basically the kind of, we do this at the end of every summer, and I think we've always done this, when we kind of get to the event, our main summer events programme, we just have a little bit of a look back. And I've provided a report which is kind of gives you the feedback that I've already gleaned from members so far today. Obviously, you might have a whole load of other stuff that you need to add to this. But really, this is just to feed into and inform next year's event planning process. We've also put on, as an addition to the report, because we've never done it this early, but basically just saying, look, we're going to just agree that this is the programme for next year, and if so, these are the dates that they're going to fall on. Can we just agree that up front now? Because it means then we can start sticking them straight on the website. People will know straight away when they are. If you go back sort of 2 years ago when we awarded the contract to Alan Henry Events, we kind of didn't award the contract till quite late in the year, and we ended up with like a sort of 2-week lead-in period into the first play in the park. Obviously this year we were able to get the dates agreed earlier. But I think what would be nice, and what the events working group has kind of been saying, is actually let's just get it agreed like straight away as early as we possibly can, and then we can actually put all them dates out on the website and social media, and people can just get them straight in the diary for next year. There's no faffing about, well, when's that going to be? Are they doing it again? There's the dates. So that's why we've attached those proposed dates. Obviously subject to the one that's kind of a bit in the air at the minute, Alan might have a bit more of an update, I don't know, is Miners Sunday, because obviously the Miners Sunday event, if we were to hold it on the same day, or the same weekend, not the same date, it falls on the 100th anniversary of Tommy Armstrong's death. So clearly we have a kind of greater local need to find out what's happening around that with the Tommy Armstrong Society, because clearly, you know, we don't want to take away the track from anything they've got planned. It'd be nice if we could work with them and make a sort of big gala bumper event, but if we can't, then obviously we need to consider that, and that needs to go into the mix. So in terms of the feedback, hopefully you've read the report. You can see the feedback that members have put forward there, same with Playing the Park, Louisa Morrison Memorial event, and the Miners Sunday. So it's really just for members to throw open for members' comments, input, questions.
Yeah. So, anyone?
On the proposed sheet of the dates, is it supposed to be duplicated? You come right down to the end of 2020 and then it starts again?
Confused.
Or is it, should it be 2021 or?
Should that be 2019?
Yeah.
I'll come down
On,
to the...
on the one that says,
It says
the
Playing the Park
dates.
and then Playing the Park further down.
Yeah.
so you've got West Stanley Memorial, Sunday the 16th of February 2020, so that's next year. That's next February.
Yep.
So you go through to August, September, October, November, Remembrance Beacon, December 2020, and then you go 2020.
I see what's happened here. Yeah.
Confused.
So it should go down to Town Mayor's Awards, shouldn't it? No, Town Mayor's.
It should just...
Carol concert. It should go to Town Mayor's Carol concert.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you so it should go. It should start at West Stanley Memorial and finish at Town Mayor's Carol concert. So Sunday the 6th of December should be the last date on there till 2020. So then where it says Town Mayor's Awards, Armed Forces, they're playing the part those. That's a duplication, isn't it?
There's only one thing you haven't done the same. It says Louisa Morrison Memorial. It's got a star on the bottom one, but not a star next to the first
Yeah,
one on
well,
the list. So
yeah.
you can just star that one.
Obviously the stars are the ones where that's the day. It's either that day or no day because they're anniversaries. Obviously, so yeah, apologies for that. So ignore the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bottom 5 rows of that table.
Alright, taking over this committee as well, please.
Are the 5 venues for the play in the park, are we not changing them? Are we keeping it the same, or we don't look at alternatives or spreading out a bit? What's it here?
I've just put forward the 5 from this year. That's for discussion by council. So if members want to look at different venues, then clearly they can. But I've just put forward what we did this year.
I think that as part of, well, there's a couple of things that I don't like about this report. And it's just in conjunction with what David's saying, really. The first thing is that it's feedback received to date, but it's not really, I don't know, an email sent out saying, please send your stuff in for this, if you know what I mean. That's a bit like what we were talking about before. So I think my proposal is probably going to be that we will note the report that's here, but we ask that if you send an email around in the morning and say you've got a few more days if you want to put anything else in, because like David said, probably didn't have the opportunity to say he'd like to have a play in the park in wherever he wants to, whatever he wants to suggest. Okay, so would that be acceptable? Would we be able to do that?
Well, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a review. This is discussion. This is you don't have to accept.
But there's only there's only 8 of us here out of 20 though. That's all on. So I'm just thinking that there's 8 of us looking at this report and thinking, yeah, it's all right, but there might be another 12 people who are saying, no, it's not what we want. And then
Obviously, all 20 councillors have been sent this report.
yeah.
So you want me to send an email around saying that the committee's looked at this report and wants to know if you've got any additional feedback?
Yeah, I think so.
So you put in.
It wouldn't, sorry, if David wants to go back to his point now, but I just think that that gives everybody else an extra chance to put in, because we're getting our extra chance now, but the people who want this in this committee aren't really getting their extra chance to put extra things in, because I've got something else written down as well for the Miners Sunday. There was something that was said to me about if we publicise the time of the parade, we'll probably get more people watching the parade.
John, did you want to come in?
Obviously, Ringing Day next year is a notable date that we should have perhaps thought about. On the Miners Sunday, I have to say, although I didn't get for family reasons, there was, someone said to me, there was no jazz band. Now, on a miners' picnic, there would always have been jazz bands. Didn't matter what you do, there would always have been jazz bands. And that could be an idea that you look at. There's still jazz bands in Durham, 1 or 2, a few, in fact, that hold regular competitions. So it might be an idea that you might want to look at. But also when I was at the cultural show, one or two of the guys had said, well, it's a shame that the Miners Sunday and the horticultural show weren't on the same day, because that was how it all came about. That was how all these shows came about. So again, it may be an idea.
Early enough then.
Sorry?
If we set our date early enough, they may be able to have everything at the same time.
Well, it was just, League Grown came about, or allotments, a lot of allotment stuff came about because of miners that it was to get them into the fresh air and do those kinds of things. So it's just, a couple of ideas that could be thrown around.
Yeah, good idea.
Anyone else? David, had you finished your point?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I finished it, yeah.
Right. Anyone else at all?
So did you not have any suggestions about other locations or which ones?
Well, I would love to Tam Joe, because I think it's absolutely perfect. It's kicked in the touch last year, twice.
Or instead of, or in addition to the existing programme?
Either or,
So we've got the cricket table today. Okay. So notwithstanding that we're going to send it around for an email, Councillor Davis, you propose that we don't discuss any more feedback on these and we just let it round to an email, or do you want to go through this report at all, or?
I don't know, but I just think that everybody else needs to get a chance as well, but for me, the events that we're doing, they're okay. We'll just need to get any of the feedback, see what everybody else thinks. The dates are sensible. I think they're just what we've had on before, and
Yeah.
and then we'll wait to see if the Tommy Armstrong Society want to work with us to put something on that's going to be both our event and their event, or if they don't, and then we'll just work from there. I think. I don't know.
Makes sense.
Do you have anything back from Tommy Armstrong Society? I know you spoke to Joe.
Yeah, I know, Joy, he said that there was going to be a meeting soon with a group, I'll get back to that.
Oh, with their committee.
With the group, yeah. And then
Wait and see
there
what
was
they say.
roads, either work around them or try to combine work with them to try and enhance both events, really.
Well, they're planning something, aren't they? Too? Yeah.
So there's a raft of recommendations. So the first one is that the Armed Forces Day, the original weekend for next year. Well, I think that's a no-brainer. Contingency in the budget. It doesn't say how much, but we'll consider that at budget setting. Whether we've got money, extra money to stick in there.
That was just, sorry, Mark, that was just because we got to a situation like this year where for some reason we didn't have any armed forces support.
Yeah.
If we hadn't had the extra attractions there, it would have been, not as, you know, but as we did have those other things, it made the events all good.
Other events scheduled as per the table. I think we all agreed that, didn't we? It will be alright. Expanded the budget for promotion, that'll have to come with the budget setting as well.
Yeah, that was just picking up on the fact that sort of the opportunity for cross promotion.
Yeah.
Because what we found this year was we've always had some freebies like some beach balls or spinners or things that we give to the kids that play in the parks. But this year we were also armed with a load of leaflets promoting the cinema and Miners Sunday and other bits and bobs. And it's kind of, you know, you get the kids in because they want a beach ball, then you give the parents the flyers, and it kind of helps to cross promote what we're doing. And obviously, on every single occasion, the beach balls went within the first sort of 2 hours of the event, and then for the last 2 hours, no one's bothered to come and see you anymore because you've got nothing to bring the kids in. So just looking at that really.
I think the one thing that I would say is, well, and I don't want to speak for Anfield Play, the actual Stanley Town Council tent was 1 million miles away from the actual events themselves, and there was very little cross-promotion opportunities being undertaken, and potentially maybe it's because there wasn't the take-up, because it was too far away.
Yeah, we had a specific problem with that because there was torrential rain the night before the event, which meant that we couldn't set up where we wanted to set up, because if we'd have set up where we wanted to set up, we'd have probably destroyed the football pitches, and then DCC would have charged us a fortune to reinstate the football pitches. So we kind of had to move things about, which is why it was facing where, I mean, I didn't go to the event, obviously, I know what happened, but it wasn't set up as it would have been set up if we hadn't had that torrential rain just before it. But I mean, that's valid. It should be, you know, wherever you're doing, they should have the...
And the leaflets, you know, to turn up with no leaflets.
So they don't have any leaflets? Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Cinema ones, for example. And I mean, I don't think it was anybody's fault, they hadn't arrived in time. But, you know, just needs a little more forward planning, because it's a really wonderful opportunity to promote Stanley Town Council, but the rest of what we do, and it was a shame not to, you know, for our staff to be out there selling everything in the world.
Any other feedback needs to
Anything from anyone else?
Just a bit about email around, see if anybody else has got any feedback, just like say we've had the chance in there.
So the recommendations, Mark's just gone.
So the recommendations is committee happy to accept that we put forward Armed Forces Day goes back to the original date.
Yeah.
Are we happy to put forward that we allow a contingency or budget for Armed Forces Day if there's problems getting the Armed Forces support or not?
I think that has to be considered
considered part of budget.
within part, you know, part
I
of the
think we've
budget.
got the budget coming up, so we
Yeah.
don't see much point in putting it in now when we've got the budget covered. The same for the promotional items, because it hasn't really got a figure for us to make a decision on it, you know what I mean? How do you decide how many promotional items you're gonna bring? You need to bring some sort of thing saying, we spent 1,100 quid, we want to spend £2,000 or whatever.
But we're happy with the proposed dates for the other events, if not necessarily the locations.
Yeah.
As long as we put in AED, because that's obviously really important.
Yeah, that needs to go into the,
One
the next
versus
place, and then you put something.
75, is it?
Yeah.
Have you really just asked how many years it is since we ate it?
No, because I'm just, which anniversary?
Yes,
There's so many,
the answer.
so many anniversaries. Which one? Right. And the minus Sunday one, we're happy to accept that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do that.
Yep.
On to item 10, strategic grant fund.
Yeah, the paperwork is attached for this. This was, when the strategic grant fund panel met back in June, this particular application, which was to renew some flooring tiles on the staircase at Tampere Community Centre, was deferred because there was a question mark about asbestos and whether or not specialist contractors were needed and whether the quote was enough, etc., etc. And the association was asked to bottom out whether or not, you know, what the position was. So that basically, to cut a long story short, they've gone back and they've got hold of the DCC asbestos survey, which is confirmed that the material isn't asbestos, so it can just be replaced. So then they've resubmitted what the quote would be just to replace it. So the quote was for £328. So basically, the committee is asked if it is happy to authorise that payment or wants to do something else.
I think what we did decide at that meeting was that we would agree in principle, but with the proviso that it had to come back because of those asbestos-related concerns. So, you know, I think we can talk about agreeing it at this meeting rather than go anywhere else. People are happy with that.
Yeah, we put the motion forward that we agreed, because the group had already said they would go forward if the price was correct and there wasn't going to be any issues with asbestos. So I would put the motion in that we agreed and award them the grant.
Smashing. And have a second for that? Joan? Yeah. Smashing. And everyone's happy?
Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Fantastic.
So does that mean they'll get that check very soon?
That means they'll get their cheque very soon.
Oh, that's good.
We'll send Carol around with a big cheque.
Okay, date and time, venue of next meeting, 16th of October, here at the Civic Hall,
It hasn't got the time on it yet, I'm just,
6:30.
It'll be 6:30.
As-
we already done that, but.
Just like to do.
Yeah, it does. Okay,